Welcome to our lesson today. We will talk about the topic of cartoon analysis. Just like in a picture description, there are 4 steps to describing and analyzing a cartoon. They are introduction, description, analysis, and evaluation. Let's look at these 4 steps bit by bit. The introduction is not too hard. Just say who drew the cartoon, where it was published, and what it's about. So for our case here, it would be the cartoon drawn by an unknown artist was published on the website iCars.com. It deals with the topic of autonomous driving. Before we get into the description of the cartoon that you see here again, let's collect some words that are useful for describing it. So first of all, we have the words driver and driver and passenger seat. To recline means that you put your seat in a more relaxed position. A clipboard is something that holds a sheet of paper and then you can write on it. A 360-degree camera is used on autonomous cars like this one. Autonomous driving is what is happening here, so a car drives automatically. Then we have the term driving school and driving instructor. Here are some useful phrases for the description of a cartoon. You should know these phrases from the picture descriptions, but something that's special about the cartoon is that there are sometimes captions and speech bubbles. So you could say, for example, there's a caption below the cartoon which says, There's a speech bubble and it says, So basically what you have to do in this first step of the description, there's no comment involved and no analysis or interpretation involved. You just describe what you see. Let's do that with our example cartoon. In the background of the cartoon, there's a tree and some green grass. Then we describe what we see in the center. So one can see a car that has student driver written on it or written on its side. For number 3, we describe the driver of the car. So there's a man in the driver's seat in a reclined position with his hands behind his head. We describe the passenger. So next to him in the passenger seat, there's a man with a clipboard watching him. Number 5, we describe the car a bit closer. So on the roof of the car, there seems to be a 360-degree camera, and on the front of the car, it looks like the car has eyes. For number 7, we could say above, one can see the Google logo printed on the car. And last but not least, we have to describe the caption. So the caption below the cartoon says or reads, "This is a lot easier than I expected." And that's that for the description. Let's move on to the analysis. Now, these useful phrases for the analysis might be new to you. We could say, for example, the figure is a caricature of, or the cartoonist exaggerates character traits, that just means characteristics of someone. The person's body language shows or indicates. So we look at the body language, we look at the facial expressions, and interpret these. And then we could talk about the cartoonist's message or about the point he's trying to make. So let's do this step of the analysis or interpretation for our cartoon. First, I describe the situation we're in. So the cartoon shows a situation in driving school, and it looks like the student driver has to complete his driving test in order to get his license. Then I can talk about his facial expression. From his facial expression and his position in the seat, one can see that he isn't worried about the test at all, which is also indicated by the caption below the cartoon. So I'm talking about the driver here. Looking closely at the front of the car, one can see that the artist gave the car human features by making the lights look like eyes. So that's my interpretation of these eyes that the car has. With the help of the camera on the roof, the car apparently drives itself. So this is an interpretation, okay? You cannot be sure about this, but it looks like it. The cartoonist makes a humorous statement on the topic of autonomous driving by showing what driving tests could look like once autonomous driving becomes reality. And now you can finally say, you probably know this kind of car, you've seen it before, so we can write down here that the car resembles the prototype of an autonomous car that is currently being tested by Google, by the company Google. Okay, so this is our interpretation of the cartoon, and now on to the evaluation. In this last step in the evaluation, you get the chance to say what you think about the cartoon. So you could say why you like or don't like the cartoon, why you find it funny. You can say your opinion, whether you find it hard or easy to understand. And you can say if you agree or disagree with the point the cartoonist is trying to make. So here's my opinion. I think the cartoon is very funny because it shows an absurd situation in which the driving instructor and the driving test become completely unnecessary, which is hard to imagine. With modern technology evolving rapidly, a situation like this could become reality, though. On a deeper level, so we could go a bit beyond what we actually see here. On a deeper level, the cartoon also shows the consequences that modern technology can have for people like driving instructors or taxi drivers who would eventually lose their jobs. Of course, taxi drivers are not shown in this cartoon, but anyway, this is my interpretation, my evaluation of the cartoon here. On the other hand, life would become a lot easier with autonomous cars because we wouldn't have to drive ourselves and therefore wouldn't have to take a driving test anymore. If you have a different opinion on the cartoon, of course, you can let me know. But now it's your turn. I have another cartoon here for you by the great cartoonist Mike Keith. You can pause the video here and start writing your first cartoon analysis. Good luck and see you next time.